Welcome to the Bradley J. Show. We are live with Laurie Geltman. I'm very excited about this. It's part of Bradley's Concert Network. I'm doing what I can to get the music out there. And I'm thrilled to have Laurie Geltman on. Laurie's from the Boston area, from Holliston, was a fan of BCN, and then went out to Los Angeles, I believe. And,
God knows why.
you know, she got big. She won awards. She's a big deal. And I'm thrilled to have Laurie Geltman on. How are you?
I'm good, Bradley. Thank you for having me. Woo.
Of course. And we've been planning this a long time, and this is it. And if anybody has a comment or anything, let me know. So, being from Holliston and being a musician, you got involved in the music scene. Late 80s, when was it?
Well, I went to Berkeley College of Music. After BU, I went to BU for a little bit. Then I went to Berkeley. And from there, or at the end of my Berkeley thing, and I was like in 3 bands. I was just playing in bands, and one of them was my own. One of them was Vasco da Gama, and I played with a guy named Will Hunt because he was the proofreader at Musician Magazine. That was my first and only office job that I've ever had since I graduated. I worked at Musician Magazine, which let me kind of get into a lot of shows with my press pass, so that was kind of cool. And then I just stayed there and played all the friggin' time. Played many, many gigs. Yeah.
And the scene, bring it back to life. You have probably very clear memories of what it was like then. People they lament that it's not the same, and it's not the same. Can you fill it out, what it was like?
Well, I can tell you what it was like, is now I get the idea about what Boston is like through Facebook. I see a lot of the, rockers from the 70s, 80s, 90s. I see them still playing out. I love when I see that people are still playing, and doing stuff. But back then, I mean, even just as like a 20-something living with friends, rocking out to Nine Inch Nails and the Pixies, and you'd go out and you'd see the Lemonheads or Throwing Muses, and I was recording at the same studio. I was like recording at Fort Apache for a while, and I look back now and I really wish that I was more aware of things. Like I was totally not aware of how cool it was, because I would be like a Christmas party and there'd be like the Pixies and Morphine, or actually Treater Right at the time, and all these awesome, cool people that they're kind of legends. Like we were like walking through through the legendary time,
It's playing. So true. You don't know what you got till it's gone. It's super cliche, but when you're in the middle of it, it is the status quo. It just is what it is. And then when you go away, think, wow, that was a fantastic cloud.
Yeah.
I was on then. And there were gigs every night. Local bands were gigging multiple times a week sometimes. How about you? What did you do?
We played all the time. We might have 3 or 4, 5 gigs in a week, but they weren't all in Boston. We would go out to, we kind of went from New York to Portland. We played a lot of the suburbs. I had a weekly gig at the Middle East for like 3 years, which was more of an acoustic thing. Yeah, this is when it was really cool, because I had only just done I was in the middle of making my first album when it started, and Joseph from the Middle East said, we're gonna take that bowling alley downstairs, we're gonna turn it into a club, and we want a couple bands to bring people in through the bakery so they know there's something in the back. So do you want Thursday or Saturday? And I picked Thursday, and I think John Lincoln Wright picked Saturday. And I was there. I saw so much happen there. I mean, Peter Wolf hung out there all the time. I remember like when PJ Harvey was playing next door at TT's, my lawyers completely blew me off and went to see her. I mean, I have so many memories of like that corner, Billy Ruane and Morphine, just all those people that would hang out there. We were like this kind of weird family, and including the family of the people that cooked and did everything at the Middle East. So it was just a vibrant time. The TT, the Bears, the Middle East were right there. I played every week. I would have a guest every week, and I had amazing guests. I mean, I had like an anniversary show after we had done it for 1 year, and it was like Martin Sexton, Patty Griffin were my guests, and we passed the hat, and everybody ate for free. It was like, that was it.
That's cool.
I mean, Reese Gabrell came in with Dennis Brennan, Robin Lane played. Everybody played like a set in between my sets. So it was cool.
So I was there 1 week ago, and it's still I was in the upstairs restaurant, and for now it's still quite the same.
It's gonna be gone though, right? They're like doing something.
I don't know.
I think I heard it's gonna be a hotel with a music room, which
I hate that.
I hate
That's
change like
I
that.
hate complaining about progress, but yeah, there was a bar that I like in Davis Square, Sligo, gone because somebody
Oh,
got knocked. They're gonna get rid of the whole block, I think.
the Burn's still there, right?
Vernon's still there for now. Yep.
All right, cool. We had a monthly gig there. That's what I love when our band had like monthly gigs or like residencies and stuff. That was how you really built an audience and you felt totally, I did anyway. I don't know how other bands feel, but I really felt grateful to the people that would come to every show. Like I felt like they were part of the band. Somehow. It was like, I don't know. I really love that. I haven't done that in LA.
It seems like a number of musicians, they did their music thing and then they kind of opted for standard life, maybe a family, maybe a standard job. But now, having had kids and they're gone, some are coming back. Now, I don't know the status of each of them, but I'm seeing Sal Baglio, Stompers, very active. Dave
Sal.
Hurley of O Positive, very active.
Lawyer.
Yes. And so that's rewarding. And a lot of these people are still good. And of course, here you are, still cranking, still putting out music. Tell me about recent projects that people can share.
We don't have a lot of time, do we? So there was a real dip where I didn't write for a long time. I should say that without going into it at all, I was really sick for a long time, and I was just teaching and just trying to get through the day, And so around 2020, I started writing again. Like right before COVID, I was in this songwriting online group that kind of branched out of a class I took on songwriting, and there was prompts every week, and I don't know why it unloosened stuff, but that I just started writing, and some of it was crap, and some of it was experimental, and then a couple good songs started to emerge, and I thought this is kind of not for sync, whatever. It's for me. It's for like these are songs that should be on my next album. So I just kind of listened for them as each week passed. If something seemed like this could be part of a concept that I have, and I would just set it aside. So all this stuff, I should say, I didn't know how to record myself at that point. Starting in July of 2020, the pandemic made me do it. I, bought an interface, a condenser mic, basically set up in my living room, and I started recording all the songs that are going to be on my record. So I did get them out into the world to other people who made them better, who Paula Kelly, who is also a Boston person. She's been in LA for a long time. She's in a band called Drop 19s. But she and I have been friends since like we shared, I think, a drummer and a bass player in the early 90s. And we knew each other from the rehearsal room, like the rehearsal rooms, like those places where all bands.
Yes. There's a whole culture in those rehearsal rooms.
So Paul and I are very old friends, like, I don't know, 30 something years. So she wrote like the arrangements for one of the songs I'm going to do today. Aaron Tapp, her husband, these two people just completely help get these songs out of my garage band childhood and they grew them up. And so last year I released Radio, a song about being in my bedroom listening to people like you on the radio growing up. And it was a huge part of my upbringing. My mom's records, listening to BCN. We just lost power. Nope.
I can hear you.
We're back. So
okay, good.
Yeah, so BCN was a huge part of my life. I mean, I was when like John Lennon died, this is a good anecdote. My father was what's not good, it sucks, but my father was watching the football game and I was doing homework and he yells up, John Lennon, Howard Cosell is John Lennon. So the first thing I did was put on BCN and you guys were playing a John Lennon song and I just started crying like I knew that had happened. So, and then I turned all the other stations, AF and FNX, and everyone was playing John Lennon. So, but even as a little kid, I used to just listen to you guys. And I don't think you were there until I was a little older.
I was there in 82.
Yeah. So I was still in high school, kind of. I can get my age, but yeah. So through the 80s and 90s, when I was in Boston, of course, BCN was everywhere, like FNX, BCN, like, and all the college stations. So this first song that I released is more of a homage to like early 70s soul music, like Marvin Gaye and Sly and the Family Stone and bands that I really loved. But it was also just like me being, a teenager, adolescent in my bedroom where everything just goes away, and there's pot involved. But Anyway, not always. So, and then the other song I think I'm going to do is an old song from my second record, No Power Steering, because I felt like it makes me think of Boston whenever I play it, because it's kind of, I recorded it in the spring of '94 in Revere. I was with Drew Townsend.
Drew Townsend. Wow.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he moved to Florida. He left Boston.
I bought an amp off of him. A Mesa
Really?
Boogie,
He's a
a
great
Mesa
guitar
Boogie
player.
amp. Then he went to Texas, right?
No, he moved to Florida. He's
Florida.
from Texas.
Oh, okay.
So we were doing kind of more of Americana, somewhat of that kind of stuff with him before they called it that. And Patty Griffin was in the studio doing backups, and it was like the week after Kurt Cobain died, and we were just sitting at the board, and she wanted to sing on this other song called Elbow, but we played her this tune, and we're like, hey, do you think you could do something? And it was much the vibe of that month, like that April of 2020, and just that kind of 90s sad grungy Generation X vibe, I think. So
All right.
yeah, so that's Payoff, and it was also the title track of the title of a documentary that came out in the late 90s about women in the Boston music scene who were like turning 30, and if like it was me, Juliana Nash from Talking Animals, Jen Trinan. We were like the featured artists, but there's all these people, including Carter Allen. He was on there. He said some things that got some hisses, by the way, at all the movies, because he was saying that you couldn't play two women back to back because they all sounded the same.
He was explaining radio theory at the time.
It was like poor Carter, because every time we showed the film, people would just be like, because of course that's not true. Like the men, I think, sounded a lot alike. Like if you listen to Pearl Jam, I mean, if you could put like 10 guys back to back, they really did sound alike.
Well, the grungy one certainly did, but yeah, that was
the grungy guys. That's true.
That must have been interesting. All right, let's play this song.
All right, Payoff. Every day I get up, try to tell myself there's a payoff in all this. I forgot my lyrics today. I told you this was not.
That's cool.
There's a payoff in all this ragged glory. There's a payoff today. It's a good cup of coffee. Tomorrow they don't call for rain. All these people, yeah, they come and go. No hard feelings, just the way time shows. If it's a small world, after all, there's gotta be another planet where everyone has gone. Everything is always worse somewhere else. You're not sitting in piss, and if you were, who would tell? Now there's no one around. I know my love don't live in this town. We have a time, but it's out of reach. It's over, that's plain to see. Now there's no one around. I know my love don't live in this town. I know my love don't live in this town. If it's a small world, After all, there's gotta be another planet where everyone has gone. Every day I get up, try to tell myself there's a payoff in all this ragged glory. There's a payoff today. It's a good cup of coffee. Tomorrow they don't come for rain. No hard feelings, just the weight and shoulder.
Yeah, you're such a great singer, songwriter. It's not easy writing songs, is it?
Well, once you start writing, it's easy. When you're not writing at all, it's not. It's like anything. It's like working out.
What do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that is?
Human nature.
Your head gets things in your head get lined up, and so stuff can get spit out.
I don't know. I find that when I write, I'm writing more than one thing at a time. Like it's like I have a whole platter of songs I'm working on, and then when I'm not. And you have to be disciplined. If you sit down, like I know a lot of writers are real professional songwriters that kind of go into studios every day with other people, and I think they're they can dial it up quickly. I think I can dial it up quickly too at this point. Actually, I just you're doing all the other things, all the business stuff, and living, paying bills. That stuff does kind of get in the way, but there's no excuse really. I mean, if you write, you write.
Where? How about confidence? Does confidence?
I don't have any
just sheer confidence generate lyrics.
Oh,
like if you're in a confident space, you think they're good and they are good.
Oh no, I think you have to be vulnerable to write good lyrics. I think you have to have confidence to perform. Like I blubbed it up at the beginning because I haven't really done any gigs. I don't have my lyrics in front of me, but I felt like I was warming up. So it's a muscle. But I think confidence comes with. For me, it's performing. It has nothing to do with writing. With writing, I don't care about anything. I go somewhere and I don't even know where I am, and then I come out and there's a song.
Where can folks get your music?
Everywhere now.
Everywhere.
Well, my stuff has been out there for a long time because I have 4 albums. One's an EP under the band Lane, and this is one of my best albums, I think. But unfortunately, I didn't do a lot of press when it came out. That's when I started I stopped playing. I wasn't gigging. But it's called LAYNE, and there are other bands called that. So the EP is called Up From Down. And I talk about this album because this was my LA album, and I had an LA band, and the musicians on this were so awesome. Michael Eisenstein from Letters to Cleo produced it. So all the people were involved in the Boston scene that did this album. Fred Eltringham, who used to play in Gigolo Ants, who's been playing with Sheryl Crow for like the last 13 years or something. He played all the drums on it. He moved to Nashville and became like one of the greatest well-known drummers in the United States, I think. So he's awesome. And then Peter Adams, who used to play with everybody from Amy Mann, Juliana Hatfield, he played keyboards, and me and Michael did the guitars and stuff. So, and Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo sang backup. So that was a great album. People should find it. It's called Up From Down Lane, LAYNE, and it's everywhere that you can get music, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all those places. I have hard copies too. Go to my website.
So we hear a lot of talking heads talking about the difference in how you selling your music, making some money, making a little bit of change, how it was then and how it is now. How do you feel about the situation now? I mean, you can't make any money at all selling your music. You just have to sell merch when you gig. Is that the only way to make money?
Well, I think a lot of people are doing, trying to get stuff on TV, film, and ads because that is the only way that but there's so many people in it. There's so many people in sync now. It's very competitive, and your chances are still kind of small. But once you get rolling, I know a lot of people who definitely pad their income with a constant current of money, and also some of them hit it big. Like if you get, a Toyota commercial or a Super Bowl commercial, that stuff can be your income for the year. But generally, it's small amounts of money. I'm in a group, I should tell you, because it's trying to fight this. It's called Songwriters of North America, SONA. We are SONA. You could join if you're anyone can join. You don't have to just be a songwriter, but it was started by really great songwriters like Kay Hanley, Michelle Lewis, and professional songwriters started not making any money because all of a sudden they weren't making records, and that's how they made their royalties, was off of like a million records printed, and you could have just one song that wasn't even a single and you could make a decent living. So, but for the, just the regular old songwriters, we could make money from selling our CDs and stuff like that. And I used to make a pretty decent chunk of my income. I was living lean, but I was gigging all the time. I was selling my merch. So yeah, it's tough. The guy that runs Spotify, I'll just say he's a real dick. Because he could spread out his own wealth and we would all be doing a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever meet the guy at an LA party or something?
Oh God, no. I'd love someone to point him out though.
And so what do you use as a distributor? CD?
I would just say we're fighting in Washington, D.C. We're doing it through like very effective ways. We've had the Modernization Music Act. Whatever. I'm
so you're doing it the right way. You're talking to the people who have the power.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it frustrating, or you feel like you're making progress?
No, we are making some progress, and it was one of the only things that the Democrats and Republicans actually agreed on was the MMA Act, and that started this other thing called the MLC. There's all these acronyms, but anyway, it was basically just to start collecting some money. There was all this money just sitting in black boxes, and they make it really difficult for musicians and songwriters to even understand, because there's so many different streams and different places that you have to collect, and you have to sign up and register with all these different things, Sound Exchange and your BMI and ASCAP, and just so many different ways to get it. And if you don't know, you don't get any money. You just do it. I don't know why you would do it, for the glory.
I'm wondering if other folks who watch this will feel like I do. It's so heartwarming to speak to you from back in the day. It's because people spread out. I lost touch with so many people. I don't know many people from back in the day, and even the ones I do know, a lot of them change. Like that's not the Mr. X I used to know completely, but you are it's just like it was the 80s. Listening to you talk.
I don't change. I mean, in terms of my views, I guess I try to be open-minded, but I'm pretty, my principles are pretty set. So speaking of change, Bradley, Jay, what are you doing? So you're not on BC. Is BCN even around? I can't remember.
No, BCN went off the air in 2009. I did the very last show ever on WBCN, and I got to choose the very last song, the Goodbye Swan song. What was it?
Yeah, what was that?
Well, what would you have picked? Say you had to make a snap decision. That's pretty tough.
I would have probably picked like a Jay Giles tune or something, like Blow Your Face Out or something.
Well, the way I thought about it is it had to have certain gravitas. It had to be something that had made it through the generations. It's not going to be perfect for everybody, but I chose Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond.
All right. Okay.
And so it was this big, long,
so sad,
teary goodbye. It was a terrible. People were weeping. On the other hand, if people really cared, it wouldn't have gone off the air, because it wouldn't have gone away if it was super popular anymore. And it really had declined greatly since about the time Howard got there. It was still, Howard's great, but he ain't BCN. And that was the beginning of the end, I think.
And also the corporations, it stopped being about the DJs and more about, the bottom line. And
well, interesting. I think folks like to know the DJs are choosing the music. That I listen to this DJ because I trust this DJ. But after a while, that in the beginning when I got there, we chose all the music, all of it. I
remember. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, it was you got to know the people by what they were. I mean, the sense of humor. There was just a lot of personality. Radio has lost all of the
And so
humanity.
we used to go in an hour or 2 hours ahead, carefully pulling out all the albums. But now it's just on a machine and you're a talking head. You know, I
So
mean, it may not be that way everywhere, but a lot of places that's the way. And you know, that's why I listen to
wait, I wanna
college radio.
plug you. I wanna plug your show that you're doing
Okay.
because we all have to figure out what to do next, right? So
Yeah. This is my new big thing. I hope.
is
We'll
it
see.
this weekend?
This weekend is the big debut. City Winery had a cancellation, so all of a sudden, hey, Bradley J, do you want to start your karaoke here? You know, this week. I'm like, whoa,
Bradley,
okay. So this thing called Bradley Okie Vino and Vocals with Bradley J. It's a City Winery. That's why.
That's a good
And
club.
it's very, very exciting. Chachi Lepret.
Yeah, Chachi.
Is helping me. He's going to be a special guest, and he and the executive producer of his show called Come Together, which is a Beatles show. It's another whole thing. They're both helping me out with a lot of the back end stuff, which I would just not have known about or been able to do. So thank you to them.
Yay.
And you know, it uses my skills that I like being on stage. I've been a DJ a lot. And I like to sing, but being in a band is way too much of a pain in the neck, really. You know how it is. Get gigs, lug your gear. I mean, well, it's something that you have the energy to do, but I just don't. So getting up on stage and singing somebody else's song is going to be genuine fun for me, I think.
It's cool. Karaoke is big. It's huge.
Saturday night, City Winery, 7:30. Thank you for plugging that. Appreciate
and people can just come and sign up. And this is the one in Boston, right?
Yes, City Winery, Boston. So let's get back to you. We've been hanging for 26 minutes, which is fun.
And we
let's hear another
surface.
Another song.
Okay, so this is for you. It's called Radio.
Oh, all right. Laurie Geltman.
Out of tune. I'm
cool. Tune. Take it down. I'll just entertain from the stage here.
Yeah, you got such a good voice, by the way. You got like the
yeah, thanks. I wonder if DJs' voices evolve the more they become a DJ.
Well, they get lower, right? Don't they get lower?
Or not? But the person, some of the people who made the most money, let me put it this way, did not have great voices.
Ooh.
I can't name them.
No, let's keep it positive.
Here we go, Laurie Geltman.
I remember when the DJ was my best friend. Speakers on the dresser were my godsend. While my eyes roam the room in a daydream. Bits and pieces of who I thought I was on the ceiling in the walls. Who was I feeling? The idols of the myth, all my strength is my faith of who I can be. Tell me everything I need to know. Tell me signals on the radio. Send me signals on the radio. Send me signals on the radio. I remember when the DJ was my best friend. Got my weed under the bed, on the lunch tray. Stole it from my school, now here I lay when I'm there. I say what I gotta say, do just what I gotta do, till I get home, the mind flow. Lord, tell me everything I need to know. Send me signals on the radio. Tell me everything I need to know. Send me signals on the radio. Yeah. I need to know. Tell me everything I need to know. Sell me singles on the radio. Ooh.
That's fantastic, man. Especially for me being a DJ. That's cool. It's nice to hear and be reminded that prior to the internet, it was the radio. The radio was where you found out what was up in a local way. You found out what was cool, what was going on,
Everything.
news, entertainment, who was playing, what movies were playing, and not to get all reminiscent-y, but there was a time when you could, and you remember this time, you could be walking down Newbury Street and continue to hear BCN from one car to the next. There were
I used
so
to
many
work
people.
on Newbury Street.
You did? Where? Newbury Comics?
No, and this is another like kind of rock and roll like central. And you think I worked at a Japanese place called Roka at the top of Newbury. It was across the street from Wurlitzer when it was Wurlitzer Music. And the guys that worked at Wurlitzer were Reeves Gabrel, who went on to play Bowie, Jamie Rubin, who moved down and he was in a lot of really cool bands, but he moved down to Nashville and opened up like the Family Wash. Now has like a bowling alley with all these bands. He's like, anyway, he's awesome. He worked there. Some guy from Adventure Set. There's so many people that worked there.
Adventure Set.
I think, yeah.
Wow.
Eric Skirmerhorn worked there. Yeah. Eric Skirmerhorn, who played on my first album. But who also went on to play with like Iggy Pop and They Might Be Giants and all these people. So like all these like amazing musicians were just like working at Wurlitzer, coming in for Japanese food for lunch.
Question.
Yeah.
What's speaking of Newbury Street and Reeves, at one time, early on, a flatbed truck drove down Newbury Street with a band playing, and it was The Dark.
Yeah, The Dark.
Was Reeves in The Dark?
I remember because we did Vasco did a gig with them, and they were I still have the T-shirt. It was a really weird band. I don't know if he was in The Dark. I remember the band name. No, he was in what's it? Oh man, someone's going like, I know the band.
Where?
Oh, he was in it was just kind of an really out kind of stuff. Like my band wouldn't have played with him, but Vasco was weird enough. So anyway, he ended up, he's playing with The Cure now. He's like The Cure's.
He is?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, you know what? Now that you say it, actually, he started quite a while ago, actually, right?
Yeah, then they made him a full-fledged member. They gave him, they pricked their blood and made themselves.
He became blood brothers with the band?
I don't know, but I just made that part. But he's definitely like a full-fledged member. He's not just like an add-on.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's not just a gunslinger. He's in the band.
He's in the band. He's in The Cure.
Wow. That's fantastic. Do we already talk about the Rumble? We didn't really discuss.
No, we didn't talk about the Rumble.
We didn't do that yet, right?
Rumble.
Yeah, because you won your night. Talk about that experience.
Oh yeah, first of all, I was probably pissed off at that point because it took so long for you guys to ask me to be in it because I had been playing for a long time in Boston. I should tell you. So I was like, so finally, it was perfect timing actually. It was 98, and I was just about to get my first I got a record deal. I just got into Lilith Fair, and I was opening up for some really big people. So like it all kind of happened at the same time, and I played against some pretty heavy bands. And I remember one guy, he's now got one of the biggest podcasts. I beat his band, I should say. Dennis Brennan's son had a band called like Iron something. And now he has this really well-known podcast. It's like all about like all the underbelly murder and sick things that happen with musicians. Have you heard of it?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like, God,
I don't.
When you're my age, you can't remember anything.
Yeah, well, I never knew.
Right
I give myself a little credit because I don't think I ever knew that one. So you're in the Rumble, and and where were the preliminaries? Middle East?
I remember being down in the Middle East, downstairs in the Middle East, yeah. For maybe both. Oh, God, was I there for both?
I mean, I remember them being upstairs in the Middle East, and then the next level was downstairs.
Well, I definitely played one downstairs. That's all I remember. Maybe I was a semifinalist or something.
What's that? No, was that a good experience overall, being in the Rumble? Or did it make you get better quickly because you had this competition come up? Or
no, we were playing all the time. We were like a well-oiled machine at that point. I had Woody Giesman on drums from the Del Fuegos days. He had been my drummer since '94. This was '98. Brian Karp on bass, who played with Letters to Cleo and great bass player. And then I had Dan Keller, my unbelievable secret weapon, on violin, he's still one of the best musicians I've ever known. Completely, I just love the fact that I've had the opportunity to play with him throughout my career. I mean, he was really, really big part of my life. So Dan Keller, Woody, and Brian and me, we played all the friggin' time. We were gigging. We would try new songs out at like sound check at that point. You know what I mean? That we weren't even really rehearsing, or we would have these long ass gigs like up somewhere in the suburbs, and we might do a song more than once and work it out. But we were good. We were really good in '98. That was like the highlight of our.
Woody went on to run an addiction recovery place, right?
Right Turn.
I had him on as a guest on WBZ when I was a talk show host there.
He's helped a lot of people.
And that's very cool what he does.
It's amazing.
Laurie Geltman, I've only had, these kind of talks with you for a few weeks, but I have extremely warm feelings towards you and your music. And, I don't know, I look forward to this and I look forward to this talk. I have been looking forward to this, but I love the other ones, and I look forward to future chats. I got to remember before we go to thank Tom.
Yes, absolutely.
Tom, I'm so glad I didn't forget. I would have sucked so badly.
I thanked him on Facebook.
There he is. He's waving in the background.
Tom Bichelle, who's an LA singer-songwriter. He's an amazing singer, this guy. He should be in here singing, because I'm like croak city here, but he's a beautiful singer. If you have a chance to see Tom Bichelle. And
is that his setup there? This
is his setup. Yeah, this is like his ISO booth, and he's got a little recording studio out there. Did you guys all boot up to Logic 10 or 11 yet? Did you? I
haven't made any major changes. I don't think so.
I just heard about that. They upgraded. We're all Logic people.
Yeah. So any good things in new Logic?
I don't know. That's what I was going
I haven't updated.
I'm scared to lose all the songs that I'm working on. So yeah, so I should just say, so I am going to be putting out a record, but I don't know exactly when it's coming out, because I have all these songs that have to be finished, and it's all about America, except for radio, which is really.
One thing, I should end now, but I just want to say, have you noticed how there's I don't hear much political music. Back in the day, Vietnam War, half the music was about that, and now I'm not hearing that. Is that just me?
Well, people are pussies, but my last song was "Break Up This Fallow Ground," which is really a political song, but it's masked in a sort of like swirly, so you don't know. But and then the next song I'm releasing, I wrote in June of 2020. It's called "Mama, I Can't Breathe," so it's pretty obvious what that's about. And so I'm not afraid of it. This record is really a reflection of what's outside the window, not really what's inside me so much. It's going to be a lot of looking out at the world and all the different things that we have to deal with right now. There's so much to deal with, and we shouldn't be like talking about like, those two rap artists, whatever, or Drake or whatever, and like all that stuff is like so like we're in like an existential crisis in so many ways, I think. So I do think it's important that people do it in a way that's melodic and has a hook, and then you can get away with it. That's don't rant and rave and lecture people, but if you can, wrap it up in a beautiful hook and a good melody, then you can say whatever you want. That's a
perfect place to end.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laurie Geltman. And
love you,
thank you so much, Tom, back there. Tom put a lot of time in this. It's all his place and everything. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right. I'm gonna, share this, everyone. If you're, a person from Boston, you got to share this. Thank you. Thank you all. We're going to be done being live in a moment, and then I'll just say goodbye off air.
Okay. Thank you so much, Riley, for having me. It's been so much fun getting to know you better. And
yeah.